Welcome to the Mix Minus podcast. This is Matthew McQueenie. I am joined by Earnest Christian, host of Earnestly Speaking podcast and a daily edition, and he's a Miami Heat blogger, podcaster for Hot Hoops, which is SB Nation's Miami Heat blog. This is a home and home podcast, as they say in the sports parlance. I was on his show 2 weeks ago today.
That's right.
Ernest, first off, people would think marketing department came up with your name. What's your background culturally?
I'm born in New York, actually. I'm born in Brooklyn. My parents are from Trinidad. Both my parents, and I'm the first. I'm the firstborn. So they came to the States in I think 1970 and 71. And there you go. Now they never got married. Actually, at this point, they never got married. So all my siblings are actually sort of, I guess, halves, you call it. Although we don't kind of look at it that way. If we're related fully. Period. So all my brothers and sisters were actually all my brothers and sisters. Even though they're different mom, different dad, it doesn't matter. We're all family, no matter what. But yeah, Trinidad is my background. Have
you been there?
Of course, it's been a while. I've been there since 2000, Y2K. Actually, I was there when Jay-Z filmed that the Big Pimpin' video, whatever it was. I was there during that time.
Oh, is that right?
I've been a few times as a kid. I went there a lot of times as a kid. But the last time I gone to Trinidad was in 2000, and I haven't gone since. I'd like to get back there at some point down the road. Take my son there. My sons, should I say? I have another one on the way. Actually, literally exactly a month from today, we're delivering our second child. So
wow,
yeah,
that's
9
amazing.
months, man.
So you'll be a Trinidad again.
nitty gritty time.
So now, what's the deal? You always hear Trinidad and Tobago. Is that related? What are we talking here?
No, it's Trinidad and Tobago, two different islands, but of the same commerce, want to call it. They both relate to each other. Tobago's a smaller island, more vacationary, not as transient, not as urban or city-like as Trinidad. Trinidad is more of the meat and potatoes of those two islands. Tobago's a little more of a vacation spot, but all run by the same government and all that.
And where do we place this country? I'm thinking
it's really the last line of defense before we get to South America. Like if you go you look at the Caribbean as a whole, like going south, you have Cuba, then you go to Dominican Republic and Jamaica, you go Antigua, and then the very last two islands before you hit South America is Trinidad and Tobago.
That's crazy. And what brought your parents out of there to New York?
No clue.
Is that right? You got to do a podcast.
They were kids. When my mom came up here, she was like, what, 10, 11?
Oh, is that right? Oh.
13. So, I guess, trying to find new beginnings. And, they both were successful here. My dad's side of the family especially, too. Started on business here and, and it's still around today. It's a travel agency. Although it's not as, travel today is a little less as fun as it was back in the 80s and the 70s and all that, with the internet, changing all that in the 2000s. But yeah, they found a way. We, great family, of course. And that was basically just to get away. I want to say get away, because Trinidad and Tobago is a great country, but opportunity more than anything else. And both my parents succeeded in doing that.
Not to get too heavy, but what do you think about when you see all the immigration ban stuff? When you have that as in your backstory?
Yeah, you think about it. For me, I'm not. You think it's in the back of your mind, obviously. Think about the immigration stuff, because even though we're not directly affected of the 7 countries that President Trump quote unquote banned. Still, just the idea, the rhetoric alone is disturbing to me, because of the fact, that, well, hold on a second, wait a second. But, I try to, I try to keep it positive with that whole situation. You really want to, more than anything else, hope he does the right things moving forward. But I got to tell you, the first 44 days of this administration, and look, I'm a moderate. I'm a radical moderate. I actually am a former Republican. But I left the party in 2007, shortly before Obama got elected. And a lot of my views, have gotten older. They've gone a little more center left, I guess you could say, because what happens when you're raised, like my mother Christian home, and obviously I became a Christian as a child, and I was in church a lot as a child, and you obviously you're taught that this is the way to do things, and so a lot of those views are conservative views, and some of those views I still have today. I mean, that's part of my moderate standing. But as you get older, you start seeing things for your own with your own goggles, and okay, how does this work? Why is this way? Why is this that way? And before you know it, you start forming your own opinion on certain things, so. A lot of my views now have gone more to the center, even center left, if you will.
Most people get more conservative as they get older, right. Which is funny.
Well, it's funny. I still consider myself conservative in a lot of ways because my wife called me a Republican all the times to this day. She thinks I'm very conservative. I mean, which would tell you she's probably a little more to the left than I am. But there's certain common sense things I believe, and this is why I hate labels too, because. Why can't this be common sense? Why does it have to be Republican, Democrat, and conservative, liberal? Why can't this be common sense? Human rights. This, things like that. I mean, that's what always floors me when it comes to these issues. Is that some of these things are just simply layman's terms common sense. It doesn't need to be politicized or thrown under religion. It doesn't need to be common sense. Period.
The thing I find myself struggling with is. What is a Democrat? What is a Republican anymore? I mean, even beyond the labels, it's it's very amorphous. It's very in the moment. I mean, Donald Trump was in many ways Democrat most of the time.
Well,
then he moved independent. He went with the waves, and that's why when you see what he's doing now, it amazes me that a large enough part of the country believed what he said because they wanted to believe it so badly. They wanted someone to be talking to them. And maybe there was a reason a lot of people who were winning presidential elections weren't necessarily talking to them. But I have a hard time figuring out what is the true difference anymore. It's sort of like the default position of any party now is to just gum up the works a little bit and to stop the other side, which in most elections, one side really only just wins. And then they think, oh, I have a mandate now, and I can now. We're going to push our priorities. We're going to push the fringes of our party to the head of the docket, and we're going to move these things because we won. We got a mandate, and it's like, no, you just won, and you won. I'm giving that to you, but it doesn't mean by just winning you're now like the 90s Bulls.
And what's funny, both these parties are phonies at the end of the day. Like, all these parties have done about face, really, in the last 100+ years. Like, some of the issues that Republicans have, some of the rhetoric that Republicans have today, they didn't have 100-something years ago. Democrats, you can change the parties and the rhetoric changes. I mean, it's so weird. Like, it was the Democrats years ago who were a little more, I guess, conservative, even some degree racist in some ways, so a lot of times when Republicans claim, Abraham Lincoln was a Republican, he freed the slaves, like, yeah, because the party back then was different. They had different views, and so basically both parties are phonies. They go based on where the wind changes and whatnot. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, who cares? It's this. I think that my larger problem is this: why do we need to have cliques? Why do we have to tree hug our parties? This is why I'm an MPA now. This is why I've been MPA for the last 10 years, because I refuse to get molded into following one way, that what Republicans say is the right way, or Democrats say it's the right way, and it's no matter what, vote Democrat all the time, or vote. I can't do that. My brain, I'm too smart for that. No, not to sound cocky. I'm just way too intelligent for that kind of crap. Like, to me, I look at issues independently, and I'll see what I like and don't like, and that's it.
Now, as somebody who, again, NPA is no political affiliation, right?
Right.
Do you, like, I think most people in the country don't necessarily sit there and go, okay, where do I stand on 10 issues, right? I mean, they sort of take what comes at them, and we kind of decide what the issues we're going to talk about are, and kind of move forward on that. But as somebody, and I'm only asking this, I'm not like a political pundit debating type of deal, but when you think of like a no political affiliation, psychologically, how do you land at that? Like, what are the issues that took you away from the Republican Party? What are the issues, like what gives you that feeling to say I can be NPA I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican.
I think my initial feeling when I made the change was more rebellious. Like, you know what? I'm tired of having this control. You know, I felt like I got tired of this, the whole like falling in line thing. Got tired of that with the church, with politics, what it may be, parties. And one thing to do with that. I think I wanted to become more just be able to free think myself about, okay, well, let me decide for myself what's good. How about let me decide let me decide everything, you know? So initially that's what it was. I like I said, I think the MPAs is more of it feels more rebellious in a lot of ways, like I said, more than anything else. But I think it's just independent. It's really, in a lot of ways, an independent vote. Obviously, we can't vote in primaries, which stinks. But hey, it is what it is. We're not part of the party, so that's the the result of that. But I think for a while it was more rebellion. But now I feel more strong about it now too, especially because of the fact that I don't feel the need to be part of a party that there's a lot of views I think Democrats I don't agree with, and a lot of views Republicans I don't agree with either. So I think it's more so just being mentally free from having to worry about both of parties. Now here's the annoying thing about being an MPA and independent. Every election I get both their crap in the mail. So during the election I'm getting Hillary Clinton, stuff in the mail, and I'm getting Donald Trump stuff in the mail. So I get all the BS on both sides. So I mean, really, it is what it is.
Well, after the Donald Trump election, I just felt, all right, I got to stay off the sidelines a little. And who knows if it even leads anywhere, but I started going to local Democratic
I saw that.
county meetings. And
did your mom run for office recently too?
She won, yeah. She won Bergen County Freeholder.
Winner's Circle, baby.
That's it. We're the winner's circle. And but anyway, I'm going to these meetings, and I'm even finding myself say, all right, guys, don't be so boosterish about these different things. We're against them. We're against this. And I'm like, guys, let's be cool. I mean, if there's anything you learned from Donald Trump, it's that you can literally be yourself and still win things. Like we don't necessarily need a full party plank where we all have to follow a line and do it. It just, like you said, the rebelliousness aspect is important. But why do you have to be you shouldn't have to be rebellious. Like that's the part that it keeps people away. And I've always felt that the Democrats, we're all fiscally conservative, obviously. We all balance our checks.
Right. Anybody with a common sense brain, like I said, back to common sense. Anybody with a common sense brain is, for the most part, fiscally conservative. I'm saying everybody is, but mostly everybody is. That's called being an adult. I mean,
that's right.
That's not a party thing or a church thing. That's a common sense thing. It's life.
And then I think, for me, I think it's more social aspects that I'm what some might say liberal. I just can't stand when people are telling people who they're not in their shoes, they're telling them what they need to do and what they can't be, or what they need to be, or they're not allowed here. It's just, that's the part that gets me. Socially, we should, as long as I'm not affecting other people's lives with the way I think about something, then you should be able to do certain things you want to do. It's like really the social aspect that I think breaks the two parties apart. But then you look at it, and the guy who won, he doesn't believe any of those things socially. Like, come on, let's be honest.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, and I think that's what led me a little more to the left is the social issues, because a lot of the Republicans' views in terms of the economics, I actually agree with. Some of the things they do, I agree with. I agree in tough immigration laws to a point, but the way that our current president is going about doing it is a problem. It's the execution I have a problem with, not necessarily the laws, whatever.
It's bullying.
We want, we look. And the funny thing is, like, both the far left, far right, actually, they may not even see this themselves because they're too ignorant and stupid to realize this, but they actually agree on the same things. It's just the way to get there is the problem. But look, we all want a secure country. Who doesn't want a secure country? I mean, that's not a new thing all of a sudden that we, like, Democrats want the country not to be safe and Republicans do. That's stupid. That's stupid thinking. Come on, it's getting there's a problem. It's how we go about doing the business. It's the problem, really, more than anything else. So I mean, common sense again, man. Common sense is key. But I think the social issues is what drew me a little more to the left a little bit. And as I told you, I'm going to church. you grow up believing that pro-life is the way to go. I used to be pro-life, not anymore. I'm pro-choice, but I'm not pro-choice because I agree with having an abortion, because I would never have an abortion myself. I'm pro-choice because I don't think it's my right to tell a woman what to do with the body. Common sense things like that somehow get lost in the argument. Like, if I say I'm pro-choice, it doesn't mean I'm pro-abortion. It just means I'm not. Look, I don't pay your bills. I don't, do this. So who am I to tell you that? No, you can't do that. That's not my job. Well, I'm not God. You know what I mean? And somehow that logic gets lost in the argument. The common sense thing gets lost in it because it's all type in religion and politics and all that. It's like, come on, just stop.
And you have to speak to the fringes, so you have to go to those places, which just ruins things. But the funniest part is, it's not. None of this is funny. But the most interesting, fascinating part is that Barack Obama he had the nickname Deporter in Chief. What were 2 million people deported during his presidency or something to that effect? And then the other piece, which a lot of people forget about, is, and the New Yorker had an amazing article on the Russian influence with America and the Trump election and such. But Barack Obama came into office wanting to not necessarily give an olive branch, but wanting to have a better relationship with Russia. Remember the New START treaty, right. the reset, all that stuff. So it really comes down to the person who's in the White House. The difficulty with Donald Trump is that I just don't believe in his thought process. I'm scared of him as an individual man, not even what he brings as a party. As somebody in my shoes who majored in psychology and in college, and you don't even have to major in psychology to see that there is literally something off in this in this man's head, and he's been given full control. I often say this guy would not be elected to run a school board. He would not be a superintendent. He would not be put in to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. There is something about this guy that's really scary.
You know what? You know why Donald Trump ran for president? So he can add to his portfolio. It's that simple.
You know what's even worse?
I was this, and I was president of the United States. It's not about the politics. He doesn't have the background for that. He did it because to see how far he can go and to fit his portfolio and his brand.
I think
it was simple.
I even think it's worse than that. I think now at the end of the day, he will be a president, and in his mind, he's Mount Rushmore president, all this. I can't take away from a person who becomes president. That is unbelievably impressive for obvious reasons. But the thing with him is I really believe it is because of things like the legislative correspondence dinner. I know it sounds silly, but I believe when he was in the rooms getting made fun of by people saying, this guy could never be the president, Donald Trump. And he went, okay, I'll show you. I think it's an I'll show you. And it's the same thing that Nixon went through. I mean, the thing with Richard Nixon, this is a guy who lost the California governorship before then becoming president. He was in the wilderness. And that's a guy who couldn't stand the people who talked down about him in the quiet, and that's like where this whole silent majority came from. And I think Donald Trump, a series of many slights led to him being the president, as insane as that sounds.
Well, and again, he was a change candidate. He spoke. Again, I mean, we can sit here and not you and I necessarily doing this, but we can sit here and bash Donald Trump. We're not actually bashing him, but just giving an opinion. But there's a lot of things that came into play that allowed this to happen. A lot of things came into play, and I've been very vocal about that on my podcast for the last year. The Democrats, and I'll say this again. And when I say this statement, don't take it the wrong way, but I think Donald Trump getting elected was the best thing to happen to this country, because I think now it forced folks to look inside themselves. Especially Democrats and progressives to look inside themselves who got complacent in the last 8 years, who were a reason whether they stayed home during the election or whatever. It's forcing people to look inside themselves and get involved. You're seeing people now who my wife hates politics, cannot stand it. And after this election, that's all she's been talking about every day. Politics, Trump. She's so pissed about the election. She's watching, now she's an avid Bill Maher watcher with me and John Oliver every week. And she's reminding me to watch the shows every week. And she's on top of everything. Every bill that gets addressed, she's on top of it now. There's many people like that now in this country that were not like this 5 months ago. All of a sudden now He's waking up a lot of people on both sides, really, not just on the progressive side, even on the Republican side that may agree with him as well. So Donald Trump actually became in a lot of ways, a necessary evil for America. I mean, seriously.
Well, I've been saying, I mean, in many ways, he hacked the presidency himself. Yeah. He hacked the ways these things have been done forever. Much the way sports does. You can have the narrative and the storyline of what's supposed to happen. I always remember back to that Super Bowl a bunch of years ago that was held here at MetLife Stadium, and it was going to be Peyton Manning's coronation. Everything was, here's Peyton Manning. He has the prolific season. He's going to lead Denver to this Super Bowl. It's happening, I promise you. And then there was a locker room of players, maybe unheralded but great players. But they had their issues. They had the whole Adderall thing. In their history, they were just some might say they had some thuggish play. The Seahawks, and they were like, no, the storylines don't. The storylines don't mean anything to me. And what was that, 44-8 or something? I mean, it happens. And then 2 years later, he wins a Super Bowl as a completely different player, a diminished player on the way out on the sunset. And so storylines, often when storylines look too cookie cutter, just like karma almost breaks them up. And that was sort of the storyline with Hillary Clinton. She's going to win. She's going to carry on President Obama's legacy, which we all love as a country, quote unquote. And I did. I was behind the majority of what he did. That's why I voted for him. I thought he was doing a good job. I liked the way he thought about things.
And most did, actually. I think he left. Look, this wasn't because Obama wasn't good. Like when Obama got elected in 2008, it wasn't, a lot of it had to do with the fact that people were dumb Bush. A lot of Republicans came out to vote for Obama in this election. That wasn't the case in this election. It wasn't about Obama. Oh, Obama's so bad, so now I'm going to vote. Democrats vote for Republicans. It's that the Democratic nominee that was propped up, that, in my opinion, should not have been propped up, honestly. I think Bernie Sanders should have been the guy, because there's no way in hell Bernie Sanders loses 4 Democratic strongholds in this election. No way in hell. But Hillary did that.
Especially progressive, yeah.
Exactly. And not only that, Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders, in a lot of ways, similar in the message in terms of the Rust Belt, talking about jobs. Bernie Sanders had the common sense to campaign in Wisconsin, campaign in Pennsylvania, during the last days of the election, that Hillary did not do. Okay, so to me, and then you have Donald Trump, who knows that the Democratic states, but you know what? Let's take a chance here, and he's look, whether you agree or disagree, or you believes he's going to do what he says he's going to do. He's talking to the people. He's talking and relating to people. So the people who tilted this election were independents and Democrats. It wasn't Trump supporters that tilted this election. It was independents and Democrats who came out for those 4 states that changed the election, that changed the Electoral College. So this is why I think Democrats got their wake-up call.
Interestingly enough, I keep thinking about this. So we're almost at the 50-day mark, which would be halfway to the mythological first 100 days. And I keep thinking to myself, let's say there was a revote at day 50. I don't know if the result is different still, because I'm finding that a lot of people who voted for him said this is what I wanted. And that's crazy. That's shocking to me, because it just upsets my apple cart big time. But I can't believe that could still be the case. I think he would still potentially win.
Probably. The thing I will say, though, is that, remember, a lot of folks stayed home. Mainly Democrats stayed home for this election.
So they come. You think they come out?
Maybe they say, what the? Can I curse on this podcast? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Maybe they're thinking, what the fuck am I thinking now? This changes. Maybe they looking back. Whoa, why did I stay home for this? Why did I not go out? This is a disaster. So maybe you're right there to a point, but I don't know. Maybe the people who stayed home, maybe they come out and support Hillary for the sake of it, just for the hell of it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It would be a very interesting thing. You don't see that. You probably haven't seen that in any other presidency. And I mean, I can't tick off all the 45, 46, but for that quickly, where people go, oh my gosh, whoops.
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty amazing.
I do think a lot of Trump supporters there's some who are definitely like, oh my God, what the hell, what did I do? There's some out there, but many of them are still defiant right now. Still, and there's a lot who are still in the wait and see mode. Look, not every Trump supporter came out, is racist. Or that. There are a lot of them who actually genuinely thought he could do a good job and get this country back where it needs to go. There's some who are great people who came out to support Trump that genuinely thought that he was a guy who can make some positive changes. I'm not going to hold that against them. It's their right to vote for him. You know what I mean? But I think the majority of Trump supporters are still in wait-and-see mode, which is why I think I would still might lean your way in terms of that he would probably still get elected again just because of that. Because there's still a wait-and-see mode. Only 45 days already into this administration. Now, granted, it's been a long 45 days. I mean, but we'll see.
And I don't know if this is 100% true, but I never thought of it this way. I consume this stuff like crazy. I mean, I read all this the way I follow a sports season. And and especially because just like in sports, when things are going bad and things are leaky, like the New York Knicks or teams who are expected to do really well and they're going bad, that's when the good stuff comes out. That's when the claws come out. There's leaks. That's when you're really following it. So I'm following it extra intensely right now because I'm as if I can do something about it, but I'm following it because it's juicy. I want to watch it. But I think a lot of people, for instance, don't follow it like that. They watch his congressional speech, that the one that's supposed to be State of the Union, but it's not the first year, and they watch that and they go, "Oh, he's so presidential, it's good." It's just like people who maybe watch the big game, like the Super Bowl in sports, but they don't follow the rest of it. So maybe a lot of society isn't actually seeing the things we're seeing by really looking behind the curtain constantly.
Speaking of consuming, I gotta tell you, the Washington Post is on their game. I mean, you talk about any publication out there, the Washington Post is on their game. I mean, I'm surprised that Trump hasn't banned them yet, honestly.
Yeah.
But you talk about content-wise, and I'm with you. I'm actually, listening to more podcasts on the political side, even more so now than I ever have. I mean, I did before, but any more so now than I did before. And I mean, between the reading, certain, sites like, Washington Post, New York Times, all that, and even some of the more I guess even some of the more conservative sites, just to see what their take is. It's in a lot of ways taking over my life in a lot of ways,
right?
And the fact that my wife now is like heavily, involved and wants to like read everything and consume this too with me. It's like, wow, okay, so I'm not alone in this either, and I'll tell like I'm enjoying watching. Like I've always watched Bill Maher and John Oliver, but it wasn't like I had to watch them every single Saturday or Sunday and every single Friday. Now it's like we have to watch every week. We have to see what the jokes are about. The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. Now I'm watching that every day now. Like I didn't watch it every day before. So it's consumed my life to the point like it's now on a par with sports now.
It's almost a little uncomfortable. No, I mean, when I think about it, it's like for instance, I'm a drinker on the weekend. I'll have wine, I'll have some beer, but I stay away from the week. The way I felt from this 45 days and even from the minute he won and I was just in a state of shock, I feel like I'm drinking every day. And I can't stop. I wake up a little funky, but to keep the funk in place, I keep drinking. Like I feel like I'm out of control a little bit. I'm uncomfortable with this level of consumption, and I'm doing it, and there's not a lot we can do. So I just keep drinking.
No, I mean, I don't know. It may feel uncomfortable because the amount, what it is, though? Maybe because we're consuming more of this topic than ever before, more politics than we ever have in our lives. Is it uncomfortable at times? Yes, but we're now aware these things actually matter. This is our lives. I mean, we're both parents now, so these things affect our children. Like the whole Betsy DeVos thing, that directly affects us as parents, and why I was so vehemently against her becoming the head of education for his cabinet. I mean, this is why those things directly affects us. I mean, my wife was very emotional about that situation, so we're invested now because we're older, we're adults, we are married, we have kids, okay? We have to know what's going on, and we can't turn a blind eye. And turn a blind eye is why we got here in the first place. We didn't take this seriously. People thought, Donald Trump, he's running for president. Oh, it's great. Oh, funny. He wins the primaries. Oh, whatever. Hillary's still in the name, and there's more registered Democrats and Republicans. Sure, she'll win the election. And then November 9th happened. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where we have to, I think, because of the complacency, I'm not saying you were that way or I was that way. We did our jobs. We voted. We won voted. But because of what the result happened, because of how we all were leading up to it, is why we are now more in the know. Fair or not fair, Matt, this is by far already the most scrutinized administration in American history, by far.
By far, yeah, no. By far.
I'm only a month and a half into the administration.
Yeah, it's pretty unreal. Now, you mentioned we both have children. You have another one on the way. We're caught in this. Yeah. We're caught in this vortex of just reading and consuming. Where do you find the time? What do you consume? When do you consume it? What do you have to get through in each day, or is it all just scattershot for you?
You mean the politics stuff?
Just like your consumption, because there's just like I'm a voracious media consumer.
Me too.
Obviously, Me too. Sports has unfortunately taken a back seat. I think that happens with age, but I think with this, it's just impossible. I mean, I saw we both did a podcast on Bumpers about Kevin Durant. Like something like that needs to happen for me to dive in and be crazy into sports. Like Kevin Durant has to be out for like the fear of out for the season, even though it looks like it won't be, for me to be like, oh crap, let me go look at that. But otherwise, I'm just like locked in on this, and it's ruining my other interests a little bit because it's like a ridiculous heroin hit. It's like, what's going on here?
It is. For me, it's not sports that's in the back seat. It's now sharing the mantle with politics now. You know, I'm still getting my sports in. There's not the as much as I used to. Like now, you know, articles I get from the Ringer are sharing time with Washington Post articles. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm sharing my time with both sports and politics, and even some pop culture too. I mean, I've always been a variety guy anyway, by nature, but the politics stuff now, because it matters, we have to keep our eyes on what's going on. Because again, fair or unfair, this is the most scrutinized administration in American history, and it's going to be until he runs again, if he makes that point. So. You know, I consume both evenly in even numbers. As I was saying earlier before the show started, like, you know, I'm a podcasting whore. Like not only do I work in the media content business, I also intake a lot of media too. And for a long time, you look at my podcast feed, everything is sports. You may get one quick pop culture podcast here, one quick politics, keep it 1600 for a while here, but everything else is sports related. Not anymore. Now it's a healthy balance of politics, sports, lifestyles, music, TV stuff. I mean, it's a nice little healthy balance. And you know, this what we've gone through the last few months now is kind of changed the way we look at life now a little bit too. So yeah, and dealing with it as a parent too, especially. Yeah, you have to kind of balance the scales. I've had to. I remember on our podcast actually 2 weeks ago, we were on my show. We're talking about how like. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a subscription here or there, a magazine. In my case, it'll be a couple podcasts I don't listen to all the time. I'll just delete off it for now, just because I don't listen to it much anyway. So it's a little bit of sacrifice here and there for us. But you know, the balance is good though. I think. Look, I know it's uncomfortable for you, but I think it's a good thing. I really believe that.
I think Donald Trump turned us into adults.
Some of us, yeah. Some of us, yeah. Like I said, when there are people you may know who don't give a crap about politics, all of a sudden have gone from 0 to 100 in 60 seconds. I mean, and when it affects you like that, you know, and it's been consistently that way ever since. Like a lot of people, look, there are a lot of posers out there, who care about the election care about politics for 6 months, and then for the next 3.5 years they don't give a crap.
Yes.
Those people I can't stand. Okay, you have
on both sides.
Definitely on both sides. But especially on the Republican side this election cycle, because a lot of people who were very vocal between July and November about Donald Trump, pretty quiet now. Some are still out there who are staunch Republicans who are still digging their heels in for Trump. Look, I respect that, and they're out there still saying that they believe in his vision. Cool. Who am I to tell you anything different? But there are a lot of folks out there, friends of mine, who were Viva Trump, 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 all the way to November 9th, and then he won the election, and that was it. And then they were gone. I'm like, okay, so you really don't care about what's going on right now. You really are a poser. You just want to be loud for a little while, and then you're gone. Those are folks I can't stand. Obama had a lot of those guys too, also for both cycles as well. And then once he's elected, they're gone again. Well, I've always cared about politics.
Yeah, well, I think there's a natural inclination to be there for the big events, whether you're a follower or not, and be a little bit silent when you get back to living, and then the administration starts. And I found myself not paying attention to things Obama did on a daily basis, President Obama did on a daily basis in probably his last handful of years. I would read about the big things, and I would constantly read, but it wasn't like this, where I was saying that this administration, since the minute he was president-elect, it feels like NBA trade deadline day every day. It's like, it is absolutely constant. What is the Woj bomb today? Who's getting traded where? What's the rumor? What coach is out? I mean, it's like every day feels like NBA trade deadline. I mean, it's out of control. But why don't we shift out of politics so the rest of the people who have left the podcast already? No, I'm just kidding. That's the annoying part to me. That's the annoying part to me, is when people say stuff like that. It's like, no, that's not how the world works. But how did you end up in South Florida?
Well, my mom moved us here. I was like, 9 years old? Yeah, 9 years old. I moved here. Just too cold. It's too cold for it. Really, it's that simple. Too cold. Gotta go. Okay, fine. Let's go to Florida. My dad had moved to Florida. He had got married and had 2 kids, who ended up being my brother and sister, of course. They got married in the same year I was born. They moved to Florida a year later. And so it was kind of cool, because I'm now close to my father because of it. So we moved to Florida in 89, actually, at 9 years old for me. And that's how I ended up here pretty much. But, I mean, I still remember a lot of New York, obviously, as a child. But I remember to say that I'm a Floridian. I mean, I was raised here. I was raised in Miami. I went to high school, middle school, part of elementary school in Miami. So I feel like, even though I have New York roots still, and I still have all my favorite teams outside the Heat that are New York teams, I'm a Floridian now, man. I mean, it's hard to. I have a hard time. I go to New York once in a while, every couple of years, and I have a hard time adjusting to the speed. I really do. Like, it's crazy, because, like, you go to New York. Like, I went 2 years ago to a wedding. I was in the city for like literally a day. I'm like, oh my God, this is on the weekend too. It is so fast. Like, dude, like, you take things for granted. Like, dude, I was telling you earlier before I came on the show. My wife and I and the kid went shopping, errands, doing some shorts and flip-flops. Let's go shopping. Let's go flip-flops. And then things like that. Just throwing on flip-flops and a t-shirt and shorts to go out, just to go shopping and come back. And you can't do that in New York in most of the year because of the weather, And not saying I don't like the weather in New York. In fact, I love New York. I mean, if I can afford it, I come back, honestly. But there are certain things that you could take for granted between the two places. So I've been here since '89, honestly.
Florida is a fascinating place. I mean, it's sort of like California in that there is no California. Like, there's no, this is California. Like, Florida has so many aspects to it, and I don't think people realize sometimes how freaking big the place is. That it's huge. It's like 14 hours driving if you go from like Jacksonville to Key West or Pensacola to Key West. It is so big, and I always feel like you're on the East Coast, right? I feel like the East Coast.
Yeah, I'm literally 5 minutes, 10 minutes from the beach, from the Atlantic Ocean. So yeah,
I always feel like the East Coast of Florida is like the Northeast. Are people from the Northeast of U.S. and then the West of Florida is people from the South.
That's correct. In fact, I would say, and you look at the political grid again, the election, like Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County, all urban, transient, all mostly liberal. Those were Democratic. That's Democratic territory now. I mean, Hillary won those sections of the state by huge numbers. That she lost the state because the rest of the state voted for Trump, other than Tallahassee. But you know, not to go back to politics again, but I'm just giving an example.
Sure.
But that you know, Broward, Dade, Palm Beach County, that is the majority of the state. That really is the numbers area. It's a big state. It's different too in a lot of ways because you have Palm Beach County down to Dade County, very city-like in a lot of ways. A lot of stuff to do. You go to football games, baseball games, you know, a lot of things to do. Once you pass Palm Beach County, you go into Jupiter and, well, you go into Martin County up north. You know, even Orlando isn't that transient. No, it's very country. Outside Disney World and whatnot is nothing to do around there.
Right.
So Florida could be a divided state. I mean, if you want to build a wall, you can build a wall here. No, I'm kidding. I'm just joking. I'm not getting ideas here, man. But yeah, it is two different states in a lot of ways. And I think you have South Florida, which is more city, you know, diverse, and then you have northern Florida, central northern Florida, which is a lot more country and southern like.
Yeah, it's a fascinating place. Now you began your podcast 6 years ago. You said that on our last one. Was that hand in hand with the first season of the Big Three Heat?
Actually, no. It was actually I started at the second year of the Big Three. I started the podcast the summer during the lockout. Yeah, during the lockout. That was after the first year of the Heat Big Three. And it was initially it was something that I was like years upon years waiting to do, and I finally had the guts to do it. As you know, I had a big music background for a long time. From age 16 till 28, 29, I was doing music for a long time, and then I met my wife, and I started settling down. We got married, of course, and music came to the wayside. I used to do sports talk radio in middle school and a little bit of high school, and then I stopped because of music. But in the late 2000s, I started getting the itch to start to go back into media again, to doing radio or TV. I just didn't know how to do it, where to go. Started blogging again for a little bit, and then 2010, 2011, I got married, and then I started getting the itch. You know what? Let's do a podcast, and I started learning everything about for 6 months straight before I got a MacBook Pro. I learned how to do a podcast. Bought the MacBook Pro. Then I started for that summer 2011 before I started the podcast. I dedicated every day to learning how to build up the studio and all this stuff, and how to do this, and what's an RSS feed and all these little things. And by late July, early August, I did my first show with my buddy Zach, who was a very good friend of mine. And it was initially just him there just to bounce off ideas and stuff. And the show just grew from there, really, honestly, and fairly quickly too, because the show initially was me and some of my friends, just going back and forth. But as and then I started meeting people on the internet, and like how I met you, networking. And next thing you know, got a buddy of mine, Jabari Davis, who Basketball Insiders, who we did a podcast together and we became really good friends. And next thing you know, we're building a website together and doing a kind of like a Grantland, a poor man's Grantland for a little while called The Opinion Nation. And we had like people we met through there, and we had writers who people want to write and build a website and all this stuff. So this whole thing grew pretty quickly, and with that, with the podcast too, was all bridged with that. And 6 years later, we're still here.
That's awesome. Now, I'm always interested in this whole Miami Heat era. There's got to be a 30 for 30 if those still exist, because now it kind of feels like a mirage. I mean, it was a real 4 years that happened, and it was legit. 4 years is a long time. It's one term in a presidential time. What was it like, though, watching that team? What did the area feel like? And does it almost feel like a balloon was let out a little bit after it?
It was. I mean, people do care about the team still here, but it was the most fun 4 years I've ever experienced in sports. Not just because of the on-court, but because of the other stuff, the media stuff. The sports talk radio was fun. It was fun because it was us against the world type of deal. Like, LeBron brought his problems to us. You know what I'm saying? He brought his issues. People hated LeBron after the decision. So we became defenders of LeBron James' legacy out of nowhere. This guy from Ohio, we have no clue who this guy is, but he's the best player in basketball. Hey, he's on our team, so let's defend him. And we, for 4 years, were tooth and nail defending this guy. To me, it was more fun because of sports radio. The Dan Lebertard show was by far the best in that era too, because the jokes and I don't know if you're familiar with his rants. He does he did like every couple times. When they
a little bit.
Series, the best. So when he beat Indiana, he do like a 7-minute rant on there. It's classic. It made national news and stuff. Like this stuff, it was just so much fun because when we lost into Dallas the first year, when we were losing, when we were struggling with 9-8 the first year, people were pounding the Heat fans. And some of it just by yourself. There's a lot of front runners here. I'm not one of them. I've been a fan almost 30 years. So Glenn Rice is the reason I became a Heat fan in the first place. But it made that much more fun when we did win the 2 titles in between. When we were going through the journeys and whatnot. It was the most fun 4 years I've ever experienced in sports, and that includes giant Super Bowls. That includes anything. I mean, it was just fun. It was authentic. The fans were having a good time. It was sad when he left in a lot of ways because it took away the fun. It took away our feel good. It kind of sucked, but it didn't deter me as a fan of LeBron and certainly as a fan of my team. So yeah, it was a great time, man. It was a phenomenal time.
What was the decision night like for you? Like when you heard that it was gonna happen and
he was coming here?
Yeah.
It's funny. My prediction was at the time, because remember we also were we almost lost Wade for a while too. But remember Dwayne Wade took meetings in Chicago.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, we get Wade. Wade resigns. Chris Bosh signs the day before, and we're hearing these rumors that LeBron may come. We hear reports that he was in Miami for a meeting with Riley somewhere, like a secret meeting, and like, oh shoot, okay, this may happen. But my thing was I was fine. Bosh and Wade in their prime, I'm okay with that. But we'll do that. Just get Rudy Gay. I'm good.
Rudy
Gay, and I'm good. I thought LeBron staying in Cleveland was a no-brainer, but Cleveland wasn't doing anything. They couldn't do anything because they needed to lock in LeBron first before they added more pieces. So the more and more I might think, wait, we have a chance to get this guy. And then the day he signs, I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. The best. And for me, it was personal because I've been a Heat fan for 29 years. I've seen every first for this team. I've seen their first winning season. I've seen the first playoff berth, the first playoff win, first playoff winning series. So everything for the Heat. The reason why I have more love for this franchise than any other in sports, because I feel like I have been there from the beginning. Because I've been there from the beginning, it's personal to me. I've experienced this. I was here before Riley even stepped foot here. So there's a thing for me where, because I have an attachment to this franchise, it means more to me than others. And that's why it meant more when LeBron came here. It was a big deal for me because, like, oh wow, we actually have the best player in basketball. Before we had the top 10 guy and top 15 guy, but never the top 3 or 4 guys. Now we have, arguably at the time, we have 2 to 3 best players in basketball: Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. It's crazy.
Now, we all watch these guys on NBA League Pass all the time. There's a different way you watch somebody else's players, though. I mean, we all know how amazing LeBron was. I was with the Nets at the time. I was a fan of the Nets, and then when I worked with them, I saw him up close and personal, both in Cleveland and in New Jersey at the time. And you see there's 2 ways you see a player. One is his greatness and how he plays against your team, and you see that through a different vantage point. And the other is when the guy's actually on your team. So I saw LeBron James against my team and see the way he just ran through the team and just you couldn't even stop him. The guy who came to my team and I saw his greatness, and I always say, was Jason Kidd.
Right.
Now, what was it like, though, when you're now watching LeBron James through the vantage point of your actual team? Like, literally, how great is he? Because that's the true sign of greatness, and the true way that you can describe it is when he's on your team.
Well, I was already a fan of his. He was already at the time my favorite player in the league at the time, even before he came to Miami. So I was already a diehard fan. I was ready to root for him to win titles before he came to Miami. As long as they affect the Heat, of course. If the Heat play the Cavs in the playoffs, of course I root for the Heat first. But the Heat, first round every year with Wade. So it was LeBron or bust. So I root for LeBron to win titles every time. Meaning he couldn't do it. It's so different, though, because he grew the most in Miami. He became a man in Miami. To me, he matured in Miami because he was in a culture that taught you a lot than just, okay, I'm a superstar. You know, being around Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, Mickey Harrison in a culture that's structure. It's important. You know, LeBron didn't have a lot of structure in his childhood, and he was given the keys to the franchise in Cleveland. You know, and just say, hey, here you go, 7 years, let's go. In Miami, there was already a culture established. They already won a title before. You know, LeBron James played his best basketball even though last year in that finals run was amazing in that win against the Warriors. LeBron's best basketball still and most efficient basketball of his career is still within those 4 years in Miami, because he was able to do it under so much duress, under structure. And to me, when I look back when his career is over, to me, those are the 4 years I really believe I will still lean on more than anything else. Because, look, I'm sad we lost him, obviously, but at the same time, we got his peak. We got LeBron James' absolute peak years in Miami. So I always tell Heat fans, don't, you know, you can be sad and be disappointed, but don't be appreciative, because you got LeBron's peak years. Not many people can do that. Not many people can say that. You got the player's peak years. You got a player like we got Shaq in 2004, still pretty good. He wasn't peak Shaq though. We got LeBron's peak years, you know, and Cleveland can't say that no matter what happens in the future. And we should be grateful for that.
Well, I often think that the high school player, the normal player in any sports prime is considered 28 to 32, but it stands to reason the high school players is 25 to 29 because you're gaining back those 4 years. Now, what did he do?
Years, yep.
What did he do that you didn't know he could do because you saw him doing it on your team?
Well, I guess I knew he could do everything. It's just that he actually doing it, the leadership stuff, he grew, being more of a leader. Being a very efficient basketball player too, especially like he can affect the game by just shooting 12 shots a game. Like this is where Eric Spoelstra should be getting more credit for this. Eric Spoelstra designed a system for LeBron James and Dwayne Wade to be efficient. All three guys, and Bosh included, for the last 3 years of the Big Three era, all shot 50% from the field or higher. And that was all because of a system that Spoelstra designed, you know, pace and space. Chris Bosh playing the center, but stretch center. That was Eric Spoelstra. That wasn't Pat Riley. Pat Riley's a bruiser. Pat Riley's old school. He wants to put the ball on the blocks and whatever. No, Eric Spoelstra designed a offense. Like LeBron didn't want to play power forward at all, but he was forced to because it made the Heat the best. Playing a stretch four. It made the Heat a better team, and he did something. He did something that he didn't want to do. We did it for the sake of the team, and it worked. And again, I think Eric Spoelstra does not get enough credit for what he did in those 4 years and make LeBron James a better basketball player. A lot of credit should be given to Eric Spoelstra for what LeBron did in those 4 years, because the system he put together in those 4 years is what made LeBron a much better basketball player.
Well, it probably made you feel very sympathetic towards Kevin Durant going to the Warriors, right?
Not really. Because it was different. Miami brought a brand new team. Remember when LeBron came here in 2010, the only player on the roster was Mario Chalmers. That was it. Mario Chalmers I guess Michael Beasley, but he got traded out there like a day later. That was it. Everybody was gone. They gutted the entire roster. They set up this whole thing 2 years in advance. You know, when they got rid of Shaq in 2009, it was an attempt to also clear cap room for 2010. Pat Riley prepared 2-3 years early for this. With Durant, he went to a team already put together that had won 73 games and should have won the finals last year. You know, it went for Draymond Green's suspension, Andrew Bogut's injury, and all that, 3-1 lead, all that. It's different. You can't compare the LeBron thing to the Durant thing. Durant went to a team already prepared, already with success. You know, the LeBron Wade Bosh thing came together, you know, different. It's much different from the two. And I wish Durant stayed in Oklahoma City only for the sake of I wanted to see OKC and Golden State try it again. That was a great series last year. in the conference finals. That was a phenomenal series, and I felt disappointed Durant did that. Look, it's his decision though. I mean, I didn't say I wasn't mad about it, but I wish he had stayed another year in Oklahoma City just to give one more go, see what we could have done. But alas, him and Russell Westbrook, I guess, don't get along or whatever, and he felt the need to do this, so be it.
Yeah, well, I do think that it made the league better, obviously, because it didn't just consolidate the league into pretty much two teams that kind of matter, and we'll see if Durant can come back. I sure hope so, because if that was the reason, if him going down for such a sustained period of time, and if he doesn't heal well from this, if that's what equalizes the league, that'll drive me nuts, because I really want to see the big matchup at these levels. The one thing I would say is, or I would ask is, who do you think, prime versus prime, Heat, Warriors, of those two generations? I mean, they're only like 5 years apart, but who do you think? Because it's an interesting one, because they would have some trouble. They would have some trouble with Steph and Clay, obviously, and Draymond's the big deal, because they have the fourth that Miami never really needed to have. They always had a guy who stepped in, but they never needed to have it. But Golden State, because of the way the salary cap thing worked, they end up with a legit fourth player who makes $80 million.
Mm-hmm. That's just it too. And that's just it too. Like, if you gave me the Miami Heat 2013 title team with a healthy Dwayne Wade, with Wade in 2010, then maybe I might lean Miami, but I have to say Golden State because of the pieces and the way they kind of went through the ease. The thing I will say though, the reason why I wouldn't just give it to Golden State like that directly is because of the fact that we saw last year LeBron, when he goes to another level,
he beat them himself. I mean, with Kyrie, but
I mean, the thing was LeBron didn't have to do that in Miami. Right. LeBron had Bosh, but it's hard because, like, I think if LeBron had that level with a healthy Wade, because remember Wade in the Dallas series they lost, LeBron just short circuited in that. I don't know what the hell happened. Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade played phenomenal in that series though. If you get those two guys playing that well and healthy with a LeBron at his peak, I might still go Miami, because LeBron is hard to stop. LeBron, you saw last year, and even 2 years ago when he lost the finals to Golden State. But LeBron is just hard to beat. And then you give me a healthy Dwayne Wade, top three player in the league, maybe I might still go Miami in that one, honestly.
Well, I always think Kawhi was the antithesis Terminator sent from the future to play LeBron as well as anyone's ever played him. I mean, oh yeah, that guy, at an age where he didn't have to be number one, he was like, his defense is just absolutely.
But here's the rub
astounding.
On that. You say he stopped them, and he stopped them, but that series in the loss, LeBron averaged 31 points a game.
Well, he more matched him, and he had a couple of games. That's what I'm saying, though. Yeah.
LeBron is that good. Like,
yeah.
Because we consider, Kawhi stopped LeBron. He averaged 31, 8, and 6 in that series and shot 50% of the field. The problem was the rest of the team didn't play well. Dwayne Wade had a horrible series. So, again, if you give me Dwayne Wade 2010, healthy, no knee problems, I might lean Miami because of LeBron. Because LeBron can make up a lot. LeBron's peak is still better than anybody in Golden State's.
Well, and on top of it, LeBron and that Miami group did technically play a what turns out to be unbelievable three-headed MVP Oklahoma City Thunder team. I mean, yeah. I know that James Harden was coming off the bench, but he was still
pretty good.
He was still not far from the guy who he just turned into. And Russell Westbrook was what he was still really, really good. I mean, They might have just caught them a little bit early, but that is the one part that gets you about Durant leaving is it hurts what was a good team. Now, we're seeing what Russell Westbrook is doing. I don't even know whether to be overly impressed or not, because sometimes when you just have those athletic gifts, you can just find those numbers the way he is. And the fact that they're not, like, to me, a guy needs to win 51 games.
I agree.
You can't tell me that he is I don't care what his numbers are, to be honest. Mm-hmm. I'd rather him get 51 wins or 50 wins and be averaging like 28 and 7 or something than have these ridiculous numbers, which in some ways anybody who has that skill level can just get on a team.
Yeah.
So that's where I have a hard part with a handful of these guys in the league. Like
It's why I tell Laker fans, they always ask me, what Kobe should have won in 06. No. Kobe had a phenomenal year individually, but Lakers won 45 games. You got 150 plus. Sorry.
Now,
same thing.
We can't go the 2 hour we did on yours.
Okay.
I will have to do my fatherly duties, as you will probably pretty soon, because I think we sync on naps a little, but and we can obviously pick this up again. But where are you emotionally right now with Dwayne Wade? Wasn't this a bad thing he went to Chicago? Because I always have this feeling with players in any sport that if they're on one team forever, it keeps them looking young because they're always in the same jersey they were when they were like 23 or 22. So they don't look that different. They don't age. But the minute they step into a new uniform, it's like when Moonlight Graham stepped off the Field of Dreams and they turn into Burt Lancaster. And I always thought this about if Jeter left at that 37, all of a sudden they just look old. Dwayne Wade kind of looks a little old in a Bulls jersey, even though he's not amazingly old. But you must kind of feel sad that he looks old there, and he could have been protected a little if he made the right decision to stay with the Heat.
Well, it's funny though, and I love Dwayne Wade. He's the franchise. He deserves a statue in front of the AAA when he retires, all that. But I was also one of those people that was okay with him leaving because of the fact that I knew what it took. What for him to stay, it would have taken more. It would have taken gutting part of this team for him to stay. Like Dwayne Wade staying would have hurt the progression of the Miami Heat moving forward. Pat Riley has to think about his future too of his team, not just doing what the Lakers do with Kobe Bryant. Paying him what he wants. And that's kind of the hard part with stars is that when do you let go? When do you start to say and put your foot down? Listen, I need to build my team. Dwayne Wade being re-signed here would have probably meant we had to get rid of Justice Winslow or one of those other pieces that we're trying to build around. And look, the Heat don't have enough draft picks as is anyway. So the draft picks you do have, you want to kind of hold on to those and see if they develop. And to sign, I'll be honest with you, to sign, to give Wade, $25 million a year for two more years, is not very fiscally responsible for the Miami Heat. It's not. So Pat Riley in the end did the right thing, And look, there were two losers here. The Riley lost because of the way it went. The way it went down was really what made it worse. And Dwayne Wade left on principle, and I respect that too. But I tell you what, I guarantee he regrets it. Now the Bulls are playing better right now a little bit in the last couple of weeks. Whether they sustain this going forward into April is another story. But it hasn't been what Dwayne thought it would be in Chicago, and I think sometimes the grass looks greener. Sometimes it does. But I don't think Dwayne Wade being here in Miami this year would have made the Heat much better either. You might get 2 or 3 more wins, maybe. Maybe you're in the 7th spot in the Eastern Conference. That's fine. But that doesn't help the development process of the guys moving forward. And Miami had to make a decision for the best of the team going forward in the future when Dwayne Wade's not here and he retires. And so I supported Riley on this one, honestly.
Well, I just have to – I keep thinking about, for all that money – his I don't know how to say this the right way. His skin got very light. I'm not talking about racially. I'm talking living in South Florida for that long. That is a hell of a change to go to Chicago Winners.
And the thing
I'm in
is,
shock he did that. And
Matt, what's really stinks too about the thing with Wade is that it really didn't matter much in the end because the offer that he got from Miami, the last offer was 2 years, $40 million. And Chicago gave him 2 years, $47. Okay. But the state tax in Chicago makes the Heat deal even. It makes it even with Miami. So in the end, he left for peanuts more.
He really did.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no state tax in Miami. There is one in Chicago. And if you take away the state tax, it's really the same deal that he got in Miami. So it was more about principle and egos here.
Well, and to me,
I think, and really at the end, it was about Dwayne Wade not feeling appreciated by the front office. That's what it was.
Well, and to me, you can't be that kind of. He can't have been the one kind of player for his whole career who takes just a little less in order to win You can't be that player, and then when you're out of your prime, then want to be the guy who's getting the big money. That's the big issue. Like, I feel as though you can't take a 1-year deal before. This was actually a worry as I continue with this, but this was a worry with me with being a Mets fan, as you are with Earnest Cespedes. The Mets kept getting cute with these like, well, we'll do a 1-year deal. We don't want to give this guy a big deal. We'll give him a 1-year deal, and then oh no, the guy really wants to stay here. He doesn't want to go somewhere else. He's like turning down 5-year deals to Washington because he's like, I want to be on the.
Glad to have him though.
Yeah, love it. But like 1 year, they're just like, well, let's give him a 3-year deal, but with a 1-year opt out. And of course, he's going to take it. And then they go and give him a 5-year deal anyway. It's like, when he's a year older. And I don't think that guy will age. That's a different story for a different day. But yeah, this was interested in that. Well, why don't we call it here? We still got a good hour. And it was a real good conversation.
As always, man.
And we will definitely pick it up at another point on both sides. I think we'll have another home and home at some point.
Yeah, of course.
But thank you, Earnest Christian, for coming on and doling out the wisdom of the Trinidadian.
Love it. Yeah, man. There you go.